Have you ever been insulted, misunderstood, disrespected, and everything in you wanted to respond, to defend yourself, to set the record straight? But let me ask you something. What if silence is the greatest response you can give? Too many people waste their energy fighting battles they were never called to fight. We react to every offense, every insult, every misunderstanding, yet we forget that silence is often more powerful than words. Jesus himself stood silent before his accusers. Why? Because a lion doesn't have to prove it's a lion. You see, the problem is not what they said. The problem is how you respond, because your response reveals your character, not theirs. Let me show you why your silence after disrespect is not weakness. Silence is the weapon of the wise. It is the strategy of those who understand that not every battle is worth fighting. Have you ever seen a lion respond to every barking dog? Have you ever watched an eagle come down to argue with crows? No, because true power is not in reaction, it is in restraint. Fools argue, the wise observe, the weak react. The strong remain in control. And the greatest leaders, the ones who shape history, are not the ones who always have something to say, but the ones who know when to say nothing at all. The Bible says in Proverbs 17:28, even a fool is considered wise when he holds his peace. That means your silence can elevate you beyond your enemies. Your quietness can make your adversaries question themselves. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. You don't have to defend your name every time someone disrespects you, because wisdom understands that sometimes the greatest response is no response at all. You see, there's a difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer reacts to the temperature of the room. It rises when things get hot and drops when things get cold. But a thermostat controls the temperature. It sets the atmosphere, and too many people live like thermometers, reacting to every insult, every offense, every attack, when God has called you to be a thermostat, to set the atmosphere and remain unshaken. Look at Jesus, the Son of God, the Word made flesh. He had all power. He could have commanded legions of angels. He could have silenced every mocker with a single word. And yet, when they falsely accuse him, when they ridicule him, when they disrespected him, he said nothing. Why? Because destiny does not argue with distraction. Purpose does not entertain foolishness. Jesus understood that his mission was greater than the insults of men. And some of you need to realize that your assignment is too important for you to waste time responding to small-minded people. You are too focused to be distracted, too anointed to be offended, too wise to be baited into unnecessary battles. Silence is not weakness, it is mastery. It is knowing that you don't have to respond to be victorious. Some of you are fighting unnecessary wars because you feel the need to prove yourself to people who don't even matter to your destiny. You want to be heard, you want to be understood, you want to justify yourself, but at what cost? Every time you engage in foolishness, you lower yourself to the level of your opponent. Every time you argue with ignorance, you become part of the noise. The enemy wants you to react. Because the moment you react, you lose focus. The moment you react, you step down from your place of power. But when you stay quiet, you remain in control. When you refuse to answer, you frustrate the enemy. So the next time someone disrespects you, pause. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my time? Is this worth my destiny? Because the greatest battles are not won with words, but with wisdom. And the wise know that sometimes silence is the loudest answer. Disrespect is not about what was said, it's about how you respond, because your response reveals your character, not theirs. Anyone can speak out of anger, anyone can react to offense, but it takes wisdom, it takes self-control, it takes maturity to stay quiet in the face of insult. You see, disrespect is a test. It is not about the words thrown at you. It is about the condition of your heart. What comes out of you when you are squeezed? A fruit, when pressed, reveals what is inside. If it is rotten, bitterness will flow. If it is fresh, sweetness will come forth. And when life presses you, when people disrespect you, insult you, accuse you, what flows out? This is why Jesus said in Luke 6:45, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Your words reveal what is inside of you. And when someone dishonors you, your reaction is not a reflection of them, it is a reflection of you. Look at Joseph. His brothers betrayed him. They threw him into a pit. They sold him into slavery. They lied about him. They forgot about him. They disrespected him in every possible way. But when Joseph rose to power, when he had every right to retaliate, what did he do? He stayed quiet. He did not react in anger. He did not seek revenge. Instead, he said, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Because Joseph understood something. Character is greater than revenge. Your ability to control your response is proof of your spiritual maturity. Your silence in the face of insult is evidence that you trust God more than your emotions. And the truth is, if you cannot control your reaction, you are still a slave, not to people, but to your own feelings. The enemy wants you to react. He wants you to lose control. He wants you to lash out, to justify yourself, to defend your pride. Because the moment you do, you step out of the spirit and into the flesh. And the moment you move in the flesh, you lose sight of what really matters. Look at Jesus. The Pharisees insulted him. The crowd mocked him. They called him a liar, a blasphemer, a fraud. They beat him, spat on him, nailed him to a cross. And yet, instead of cursing them, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That is the character of a king. That is the power of a son of God. You see, when you know who you are, when you understand your destiny, when you trust God to fight your battles, you don't have to respond to every insult. You don't have to defend yourself to those who misunderstand you, because a lion does not turn to respond to the barking of a dog. Your silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. Your refusal to react is not fear, it is power. And the next time someone disrespects you, before you speak, before you react, before you let your emotions take control, ask yourself, what does this say about me? Because at the end of the day, the issue is not their words. The issue is your response. And your response determines your level. Jesus stood before his accusers, falsely accused, mocked and insulted, and yet he said nothing. The King of Kings, the Lord of all creation, the one who spoke the universe into existence, stood silent. Think about that. The one who could have called down legions of angels, the one who had all wisdom and knowledge, refused to argue, refused to defend himself, refused to waste words on those who had already made up their minds. Because when you know who you are, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Silence is not weakness, it is a sign of strength. It is a sign of confidence. It is the posture of someone who knows that their destiny is greater than the distractions around them. Jesus understood that his purpose was not to win an argument, but to fulfill his assignment. And when you are on assignment, when you are walking in purpose, you do not have time to entertain foolishness. You do not have time to be distracted by small-minded people. The enemy's greatest strategy is distraction. He wants you to focus on the insults instead of the mission. He wants you to waste your energy fighting battles that do not matter, defending yourself to people who were never meant to understand you. And if you are not careful, you will spend your life fighting small fights and miss the bigger picture. Pilate questioned Jesus. The religious leaders accused him. The crowd insulted him. And through it all, he remained silent, because destiny does not argue with distraction. Purpose does not entertain foolishness. If Jesus had spent his time trying to prove himself to those who doubted him, he would have been distracted from the cross. And some of you are so busy trying to prove your worth, trying to defend your name, trying to respond to every insult, that you are missing the greater purpose God has for you. Look at Nehemiah. He was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, doing a great work for God. And his enemies, Sanballat and Tobiah, mocked him, insulted him, tried to get him to come down and argue. But do you know what Nehemiah said? I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. He refused to be distracted. He refused to step down from his assignment to entertain the words of his enemies. Because when you are focused on destiny, you do not come down to fight unnecessary battles. Some of you need to learn this principle. You are fighting battles you were never meant to fight. You are responding to people who are not even on your level. You are defending yourself when God is the one who is supposed to defend you. And every time you react, every time you engage in foolish arguments, you are stepping down from the place God has positioned you. Jesus understood something powerful. When God is your vindicator, you don't have to argue. When God is your defender, you don't have to fight for yourself. He knew that his silence was not surrender. It was a declaration that the battle was not his to fight. And if Jesus, the Son of God, stood silent before his accusers, then what makes you think you need to respond to every insult? The next time someone disrespects you, remember this. Your silence is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the posture of a person who knows that God fights for them. And when God fights for you, you always win. People expect a reaction. When they insult you, when they attack you, when they disrespect you, they are waiting for your response. They want to see you angry. They want to see you lose control. Because the moment you react, they know they have power over you. But what happens when you say nothing? What happens when you refuse to play their game? What happens when you stand in silence and let them waste their words? You confuse them, you frustrate them, you take away their power. The enemy is not just after your words. He's after your peace. He knows that if he can get you to react, he can distract you. If he can get you to defend yourself, he can control you. And some of you are losing battles not because the enemy is strong, but because you keep taking the bait. You keep responding. You keep engaging in arguments that are beneath you. You keep giving your energy to people who are not even qualified to speak into your life. And every time you do, you lower yourself to their level. Jesus understood this principle. When he stood before his accusers, they threw everything at him, lies, insults, false accusations. And yet he said nothing. He did not argue. He did not defend himself, because he knew that the moment he opened his mouth to explain, he would be playing their game. And the Son of God does not play by the rules of men. When you stay quiet, you shift the power. You make people question themselves. You make them wonder why their words do not affect you. Because they expect a reaction, they expect you to break down, they expect you to fight back, and when you don't, you leave them powerless. Look at Nehemiah. He was on assignment, rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, focused on the vision God had given him, and his enemies, Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem, kept trying to distract him. They sent him messages, they called him down to argue, they insulted him. But Nehemiah's response was simple. I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. He refused to engage. He refused to be distracted. Because when you are focused on your destiny, you do not come down to entertain foolishness. Some of you need to stop coming down. Stop coming down to argue with people who are beneath your assignment. Stop coming down to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Stop coming down to fight battles that do not matter. Because every time you react, you step out of your purpose and into distraction. The enemy cannot handle your silence. It confuses him. It weakens him. It strips him of his power, because he does not know what to do with a person who refuses to be moved. And when you stand in silence, When you refuse to engage in meaningless battles, you prove that you are operating on a different level, a level where God fights for you, a level where your silence speaks louder than any argument ever could. And when God speaks for you, no man can silence him. Silence is not just the absence of words, it is the presence of wisdom. It is a strategy, it is a weapon, it is a position of strength that confuses those who try to bring you down. When you refuse to respond to disrespect, you do not lose power, you gain it. You gain control over yourself. You gain mastery over your emotions. And most importantly, you place your battle in the hands of God. God is a God of justice. He is a God of order. He sees everything. He hears every word spoken against you. He knows every insult, every false accusation, every act of betrayal. And he is not silent because he does not care. He is silent because he is waiting for the right moment. His justice is never late. His judgment is never wrong. And when God steps in, no man can undo what he has decided. Look at David. He was anointed to be king, chosen by God, destined for greatness. And yet for years, he was hunted by Saul, a man he had served, a man he had honored, a man he had done nothing against. Saul insulted him. Saul tried to kill him. Saul treated him with nothing but dishonor. And David had every right to fight back, every right to defend himself, every right to take revenge. But what did David say? I will not touch the Lord's anointed. David understood something powerful. His destiny was too great to be tainted by petty battles. He knew that if he fought Saul in his own strength, he would be no better than the man who was trying to destroy him. So he stayed quiet. He let God fight for him. And in the end, Saul fell by his own sword. David did not have to lift a finger. Because when God is your defender, your enemies will destroy themselves. The Bible says in Exodus 14:14, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. But too many of us do not know how to be still. We want to fight back. We want to justify ourselves. We want to prove our worth to people who are not even qualified to judge us. But silence is not surrender. It is trust. It is saying, God, I will let you handle this. It is stepping back so that God can step in. And when he steps in, his justice is complete. The enemy wants your reaction because he knows that when you react, you step out of alignment with God's plan. But when you stay quiet, when you refuse to fight unnecessary battles, when you trust God to be your defender, you walk in divine authority. And that is a level of power that no insult, no attack, no betrayal can shake. So the next time you face disrespect, the next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, remember this. You do not have to fight every battle. You do not have to respond to every insult. You do not have to prove yourself to anyone. Because the battles you do not fight, God will fight for you. And when God fights for you, victory is guaranteed. The greatest battles are not won with words. They are won with wisdom. They are won with patience. They are won with self-control. And the strongest person in the room is not the one who speaks the loudest, but the one who knows when to stay silent. Because silence is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Silence is trust. When you refuse to react, you are not losing, you are rising. You are rising above the pettiness, rising above the insults, rising above the distractions. You are showing that you are not controlled by people, but led by purpose. And when you walk in purpose, no attack can stop you, no insult can define you, and no disrespect can derail you. Look at Jesus. He was called a liar, he was mocked, he was falsely accused, and yet he stayed silent. Why? Because he understood that his purpose was greater than their insults. He knew that his destiny was bigger than their opinions. And in the end, his silence was not defeat, it was his victory. Because while his enemies were shouting, he was fulfilling prophecy. While they were mocking, he was stepping into his kingdom. You must do the same. Stop defending yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Stop arguing with those who do not deserve a response. Stop wasting energy on battles that God has already won. Walk in wisdom. Walk in purpose. Walk in the confidence that the God who called you will also defend you. The next time you face disrespect, remember this: your silence speaks louder than their words. Your restraint reveals your strength. Your ability to stay quiet is proof that you trust God more than you trust yourself. And when God fights for you, victory is inevitable. So stay focused, stay wise, stay quiet, and watch how God moves on your behalf. Good luck, and may wisdom guide your steps. Thank you.